Good morning to all of you, and welcome to this conversation starter session by Perform Europe. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Karen de Linde, and I'm the project coordinator. And I'm joined this morning by my dear colleagues Asa Richardsdottir, who is chair of Perform Europe and Secretary General of ITM, Mariam Lechava, who is our communications manager, and Christina Emel, who is project assistant of Perform Europe. We organize this session together with Joris Janssens and Tille Peters from IDEA Consult, our research partner who has developed the toolkit. Let's have a look at the agenda of today. We will start with 30 minutes of introductions. First, I will explain a little bit more about the Perform Europe open call, and I will also introduce the Matchmaking tool to you. And then Joris will introduce the Perform Europe Toolkit. This only takes half an hour. After that, we will take a full hour. That's from 10:30 until 11:30 Brussels time, to make time for some conversation. Joris will give us some instructions on how to use the toolkit. And then we first take a moment, about 5 minutes for some self-reflection, just individually. After which there will be 2 rounds of conversations in small groups in breakout rooms. And then at the end, we all have a short wrap-up together. All right, let's get started with the introduction on Perform Europe. Perform Europe aims to reimagine international touring of performing arts. It's a program that is co-funded by Creative Europe of the European Union and is led by a consortium of 6 partners. ITM, that is the International Network for Contemporary Performing Arts, Pearl, Circostrada, EFA, that is the European Festivals Association, EDN, or European Dance Development Network, and IDEA Consult. Perform Europe is a funding scheme for the performing arts sector in all Creative Europe countries, and we have recently launched our open call on the 1st of December. The call will remain open for 4 months until the 31st of March 2024. In total, there is a budget of 2.1 million euro available that will be granted to at least 35 successful partnership projects. Perform Europe will support ideas to make the touring of performing arts greener, more inclusive, and more diverse. And to make that change, in our performing arts sector across the 40 Creative Europe countries, we have 2 priorities that are in focus of this open call. First, diversity and inclusion, and second, the fight against climate change. And so we will invite partnerships, and I will give a definition of what a partnership is later. We will invite partnerships to come up with innovative proposals and courageous ideas to make the way in which we tour today and present performing arts today more inclusive, more diverse, and more green. Partnerships who apply will choose one or both of these priorities as a focus in their proposal. So important to know you can choose either one or both at the same time. If you'd like to gain more insight in the vision of Perform Europe and how we define these priorities, we invite you to read the open call and guidelines document, where we mention what these terms can mean, for example, in the context of the performing arts. Then, with the ambition to move towards a fairer sector, we will particularly welcome projects by or involving the areas and communities that are currently underrepresented in the performing arts mobility flows. They include, but they're not limited to, members of the LGBTQIA+ community, people based in rural areas, having underrepresented racial, gender, or ethnic backgrounds, people with disabilities, and anyone else identifying as a member of an underrepresented group in the performing arts landscape. We know that we operate in a highly diverse and an unequal context in 40 different countries. This has also been shown by the research in 2022 of Perform Europe's pilot edition. There are quite some gaps and disparities between countries and communities, part of Creative Europe, and therefore we are striving for greater equity by supporting works by and for underrepresented communities. As selection criteria, of course, next to the quality of your proposal in addressing 1 or 2 of the mentioned priorities, all Perform Europe proposals should implement the following cross-cutting priorities. All proposals should aim for quality and innovation, and all partnerships and proposals should be built on fair principles. Now, who can apply? The call is open to performing arts professionals, which also means individual artists and organizations legally based in one of the 40 Creative Europe countries. Applications for Perform Europe have to be made by partnerships. And this means that a partnership means that you have a minimum of 3 partners from 3 different Creative Europe countries. And in your proposal, you need to be presenting a minimum of 1 performing arts work in 3 different Creative Europe countries. All performing arts disciplines are eligible under the call, but excluding live music performances, and this also means opera productions. To avoid confusion, music theater is eligible. Then in terms of the funding, as I said, there's 2.1 million euro available in total, and the grants are divided into 3 categories. 12,000, 32,000, and 60,000 euro for small, medium, and large scale projects, with 60,000 being the maximum grant available for a selected partnership. And as a partnership, you will choose the grant amount you apply for. It is up to you to decide in relation to the project that you envision. 5% of the total funding will be granted to partnerships with Ukrainian partners or initiatives that support the Ukrainian performing arts sector. And then important to note is that a Perform Europe grant does not cover production costs for new creations. So proposals will need to include an already finished work, finished artistic production, or an artistic concept, which is ready to tour and be presented across borders. If you want to apply, these are the steps to follow. Read our open calling guidelines in detail, register your account on the website. This will give you access to the matchmaking tool that I will present later, and to the digital application form. Find your partners via the matchmaking tool, if you want, and then you set up a partnership, you plan your proposal, you fill in the digital application form and attach the budget to it, and you do all of this before the 31st of March, midnight. The call is now open until the 31st of March 2024, and once the call is closed, independent evaluators will assess and select the projects. By the 3rd of June 2024, we will announce the selection. From the 1st of July 2024 until the 30th of November 2025, the partnerships have 17 months to implement their proposal. And then on the 31st of March 2026, we end the 2nd edition of Perform Europe. If you would be looking for some more information, definitely go have a look on our website, where under activities, you can find all the events that we are organizing. There's also, of course, this is one of them. There's also a section with news, where you just can find all important updates. Another section is resources, where we collect documentation about all the topics that are relevant for a Perform Europe application. Can be good practices for inclusion, a handbook for greening, but also the results of Perform Europe's research of the pilot edition. And also to get inspired, you can check out the section Stories, where we share all the journeys of the projects that were selected in the previous edition of Perform Europe. We will organize 2 Perform Europe online sessions. The first one is a conversation starter session of today, and the second one will be on the 2nd of February coming up. The networks who are partner of Perform Europe will also be hosting over 20 targeted info sessions over the next months. And next to that, some Creative Europe desks are also hosting info sessions, often in local languages. All those events are listed in the events calendar on our website. You can see the image here on the slide. If you still have any questions about the open call, you can consult our frequently asked questions document, or you can join one of our bi-weekly help desk sessions that we organize throughout the open call period. We now have a short holiday break coming up, and the next session will be organized on Tuesday, the 9th of January. If you want to make sure not to miss any information, please subscribe to our newsletter, check out our website, and follow us on social media. And then I'm happy to present to you the matchmaking tool, one of the tools that has been uniquely designed for Perform Europe. On our website, applicants have the opportunity to participate in this matchmaking. So as a potential applicant, you can create a profile with all relevant information about yourself or your organization. You can use tags and filters to look for other partners that have interesting profiles. And then you can send each other match requests. And upon a successful match, your contact details will be unlocked and you can start having a conversation about a potential partnership. This is an example of what a profile would look like. I think there are already over 120 profiles created up until today. It's really nice to see all of those appear every day. So don't hesitate to do the same and go check out who is already there. Use it to explore your options. I mean, creating a profile does not mean that you have to hand in an application for Perform Europe. Creating a profile, you can add a photo, a title, a description of who you are or who your organization is, what you have to offer to Perform Europe partnership, and what you are also looking for, but also the topics you are working on, for example. And then once you have your profile, you are able to access what I would call this matchmaking dashboard, where you can search for other profiles using search tags in the black bar. You can mark profiles as favorites. You can see the match requests you have sent, the match requests you have received, and of course also hopefully a lot of successful matches. We now have a short clip ready for you, which will show the different steps of the matchmaking process. I remember when we launched the call on the 1st of December, afterwards somebody posted on social media that that this was the dating app for performing arts collaboration that they had always been waiting for, and I guess we won't deny it. I will now pass on the word to Joris Janssens from Idea Consult, who will tell us everything about another tool that has specifically been created for Perform Europe, and that is the star of this session, the Perform Europe Toolkit.
All right, let's dive into this toolkit. Indeed, it's a toolkit that we made in order to facilitate the development of Perform Europe proposals. You now know what the aim of Perform Europe is, what it wants to do, what opportunities that it allows you to do. We already saw that you can register online and find potential partners. Once you have these partners, this toolkit is there to start a conversation with potential partners, to share ideas, and also to exchange and get on common ground about what you want to achieve in the context of Perform Europe. It helps to streamline and facilitate this conversation in an open way, but it will allow you to explain what you want to do in terms of the aims and objectives of Perform Europe. So that is the purpose of this toolkit. Who is it for? Indeed, everybody who is interested in exploring the development of a partnership, of a proposal. There can be different situations. It can be possible that you already have a partnership, already quite a concrete idea for a project. Then you can use the toolkit to refine that project, also to explain it well, articulate it, and explain it in terms of the priorities and aims of Perform Europe. It can also be another situation where you already have a number of people, organizations around the table. You don't really have a specific project already in mind, that the toolkit can help you to explore what you want to achieve together, and also the challenges that you might face together when developing a proposal and later on a project. There's also a third situation. Maybe you don't know people already that well. Maybe you just want to explore each other's interests and find out whether you could form a partnership together. Also in that situation, you can use the toolkit to start the conversation almost from scratch or from a first spark. And so these are different situations where this can be used. And we designed the toolkits so that it can be used both online and also in a physical setting. It has the form of an interactive PDF, which can be filled in a shared environment, screen shared, etc. But it can also, of course, be printed and used in a physical meeting. There are 4 levels in a canvas, basically. And you go through different topics in the conversation. First, you will get around the table, explore artistic ideas, put them on the table and see whether there are common elements for your shared artistic vision. Then you move on to the next level, where it's really about common ground in relation to the priorities or the impact that Perform Europe wants to have, and which Karen has told you everything about it. So the question there is, what's really the change that you want to bring about with regards to your own practice in light of the fight against climate change, in light of more inclusive and diverse practices? What's the change that you want to have with regards to your own practice, or maybe to some things that you see in the sector and that you want to change by developing a Perform Europe project? So that's the second step. Third step is that you identify the challenges that you will face. When you will be working together, you will strengthen each other, you will support each other, you will exchange your resources in order to achieve this goal, but there will be also difficulties, and you will learn from these. And you can already anticipate what are the challenges that we will face, because really we are also very much interested in what you will learn when facing some complex issues. There are no clear recipes for fighting climate change or diversity and inclusion. So it's really a learning process. And then fourth, the last step is you will explain what activities you will undertake in the context of Perform Europe projects, but also how these contribute to the aim. And indeed, as I already hinted at, there is a bigger picture. We see Perform Europe not as just a funding project, a call to continue a status quo. It's really a collective learning context with regards to the fight against climate change, with regards to the enhancing of inclusion and diversity. And it's really one big learning process of how artistic projects can really contribute to these aims, in spite of the many challenges we encounter in the complex society and the complex situation in the sector we face every day. So we're interested in this learning, and also throughout the process of Perform Europe, we will share these learnings, these lessons learned within the selected partnerships. We will share them also with the broader sector. So this is, in fact, the conversations you will have using the toolkits are the start of this collective learning process. So now we're going to have a closer look at the toolkit itself and see how it completely works. Indeed, it helps that you went through the steps that Karen already explained just a few minutes ago. It's good that you register online, that you make this profile. In this profile, you will identify your interests by use of tags. You can use these tags also when doing a toolkit session. You will use the matchmaking tool, find some partners, and it's important before you get into the toolkits conversation that you already have an exchange with your partners about the priorities that you want to tackle with your Perform Europe proposal, either the fight against climate change or fostering diversity and inclusion, and it can also be both. So this you need to do in advance, and then you are all set up. You schedule a meeting with your partners, and it's also good to define the roles. Everybody can contribute, of course, to the conversation, but it's also good, we advise you to have a moderator who tries to come to conclusions. It's also good to have a timekeeper who keeps track of time and an eye on the clock, in order that the discussions do not go on for a too long time, that you go through all the steps, and also that you have a report who makes good notes, because you will use them later on to develop your project. So these are the roles you might do define in advance. And then you are around the table with 4, 3, 5, 6 people. And the first level is that you really explore your partnership. Where are you based? What are your organization? What's the focus of your partnership? And you will fill it in, and it might look like this. You are based in several countries, eligible countries. You see them on the map. And then you delve into the conversation about what you want to do. First, there is this conversation starter about artistic ideas. We ask you to come up to the conversation with 2 topics that you want to explore that are of interest for you when coming to the table for a Perform Europe partnership. It can really ask you to put these 2 topics on gliding scale. To the left, you will put them if these are topics that you are really experienced in. You bring a lot of expertise around the table. It can also be topics that you are less experienced in, but you have a large interest in exploring and learn about this topic in the context of Perform Europe. Everybody around the table will choose their specific color and put their topic on the table. And so the gliding scale can look like that. And then if you have done this exercise, then you will already have maybe a number of building blocks for a shared artistic vision. You move on to the next page in the canvas, and you will take notes. What are already the shared artistic ideas that are on the table at this stage? And your reporter will make notes. Your moderator will try to summarize it or formulate it, and then it might look a bit like this. Then you move on to the next level, and now you need to have a good look, because in the second part of this session, this is the template that you will use for starting a conversation with some of the people who are already here in the room. Here's level 2, where you will explain you're entering a project that is also about how artistic ideas can contribute to fight against climate change, inclusion and diversity. What's really the change that you want to make? What's the impact that you want to have with regards to your own practice? How should it be different afterwards with regard to what you see in the sector? So we ask you to formulate this. You have a number of ideas already below the changes that you want to make. You can put them here in these blue boxes and cluster ideas, and the ideas also that you be specific about it and explain more in detail what are for you topics that you want to explore in the color of your choice. So this is a clustering exercise. You think about your ideas, what you want to do, and you try to match them with the interests of other parties around the table. And this might be how the end of this level looks like. A number of topics to explore further and to really see what's really the purpose of our project. What is the change that we want to make? Once more, a frame template where your moderator will try to come to conclusions and your reporter will write it down, and it might look like this, that you really, for instance, in this kind of fictitious projects based on some ideas that were developed in Perform Europe 1, you can have a project where you are going to give visibility and recognition to the works of minorities and stimulate a debate about certain topics. Just an example, of course, it's open. What do you want to do? And so this is the kind of screen that you will have at the end of each level. You will look your partners deep into the eyes and you will ask, all right, do you think we have enough common ground to develop a proposal together to advance to the next level of the Perform Europe Toolkit? Can be that you come to the conclusion that this is not the right partnership, that you think, yes, well, I might need different people for what the ideas that I want to achieve. That's the red box. Maybe you will need some time to further develop ideas, refine. You will schedule a next meeting before you advance, or it can be the case that you say, yes, we have a green light, we have a good partnership, we want to continue, and then you go on to the next level of the Perform Europe Toolkit, where you will identify the main challenge that you will face when trying to achieve this aim. I'm not going to explain this one in detail because it's really the similar steps that you will go through. You will also here cluster your ideas and, for instance, talk about the lack of accessibility, the lack of space and time that you expect to encounter. You will explain what are the challenges that you will face individually, but also identify the main challenge for your project. And then you will once more look each other into the eyes and see whether you can advance. And then you go to the last level, where you will talk specifically about what you want to do, what works do you want to present, where will you present them, how will you do this, what are the other types of activities in your proposal. And also here, yes, it's important to have a reflection. If you are going to do this, how can this contribute to the change that you want to make? Will you, for instance, be coming up with innovative formats for presentation? Will you be sharing resources, broadening the networks? Are you working in a new way with communities, for instance? These are things that you will do, your strategies, and ultimately, this is where you might end this toolkit session. You might now at this moment have a common ground of what you want to achieve. You might have a good idea of the challenges that you will face, but also an idea of the strategies that you will develop to achieve the aim and overcome these challenges. And then when it's finished and you have a green light there, you will, yes, become very specific, develop your proposal and post it online, and you will find all the details about that on the Perform Europe website.